नमस्ते स्टूडेंट्स, हमेशा खुश रहो बिटिया। आई एम डॉक्टर सुमन आहूजा, असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर, काय चिकित्सा डिपार्टमेंट, फैकल्टी ऑफ आयुर्वेदिक साइंस, ज्योति विद्यापीठ, विमेंस यूनिवर्सिटी. Today I am going to discuss a very important disease, that is COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. So this session consists of two parts. Today I'll discuss part 1, which is comprised of definition, its etiology, pathogenesis, clinical features of the disease, and investigations of the disease. So let me share a slides for you. So COPD. So chronic obstructive pulmonary disease is basically defined as a common preventable and treatable disease, and it is characterized by persistent airflow limitation, which is a very important feature of COPD. Persistent airflow limitation that is usually progressive and associated with an enhanced chronic inflammatory response in the airways and the lungs to noxious particles or gases. So this is defined as a persistent airflow limitation, which is usually progressive, and because of this, because of the causes, because of this noxious particle or gases, there is chronic inflammatory response in the airways. So this is the definition of COPD. So now COPD includes two major diseases, that is chronic bronchitis and emphysema. So collectively, these two diseases, this comes under the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. The chronic bronchitis, it is defined as a chronic productive cough for 3 months in each of 2 successive years. There is a symptom of productive cough that prolongs for 3 months, and successively it occurs in 2 successive years in a patient in whom other causes of chronic cough have been excluded. Now, the emphysema is abnormal and permanent enlargement of the ear spaces distal to the terminal bronchioles that is accompanied by destruction of the ear space walls without obvious fibrosis. Now, what are the different risk factors for responsible for the COPD? So, environmental factor includes, very important, that is tobacco smoke, that accounts for the 95% of the cases. Indoor air pollution, that is cooking with biomass fuels in confined areas in developing countries. Next is occupational exposure such as coal dust, silica, and cadmium. Low birth weight is also responsible for COPD because it reduces the maximally attained lung function in young adult life. So, lung growth, childhood infections, or maternal smoking may affect growth of lungs during childhood, resulting in a lower maximally attained lung function in adult life. Infections, that is recurrent infection, may accelerate decline in post expiratory volume at 1 second. Persistence of adenovirus in lung tissue may alter local inflammatory response, predisposing to lung damage. HIV infection is also associated with emphysema. Now, next cause is the low socioeconomic status and cannabis smoking. These are the factors which are responsible for the growth of this occurrence of COPD. Now, what are the host factors? Host factors like genetic factors, alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency. If there is a deficiency of this enzyme, that is alpha-1 antitrypsin, then that patient is susceptible to have, prone to have COPD. So other COPD susceptibility genes are likely to be identified. Next important host factor is airway hyperreactivity. If that patient's airways are hyperreactive to the causes, they are at the risk of COPD. Cigarette smoking represents the most significant risk factor for the COPD, and the risk of developing the condition relates to both the amount and the duration of smoking. So it is unusual to develop COPD with less than 10 pack years. Now, what is one pack year? One pack year is 20 cigarettes per day, per year is one pack year. If patient is having 10 pack year, less than 10 pack year, then that patient is unusual to have COPD. And not all smokers develop the condition, suggesting that individual susceptibility factors are important. Now, pathophysiology of this COPD, it is divided into two parts, that is pulmonary and systemic components. So, in pulmonary components, what changes are takes place in the lungs, that is loss of elastic tissue, inflammation and fibrosis in airway wall, result in premature airway closure, gas trapping, and dynamic hyperinflation, leading to changes in pulmonary and chest wall compliance. So, next pulmonary component changes in pathophysiology is enlargement of mucus secreting glands and increase in number of goblet cells, accompanied by an inflammatory cell infiltrate, result in increased sputum production that leading to chronic bronchitis. Now, unopposed action of proteases and oxidant leading to destruction of alveoli and appearance of emphysema. So, both factors, that is chronic bronchitis and emphysema, is present in pathophysiology of the COPD. Now, the work of breathing is therefore markedly increased, first on exercise, first on exertion, when the time for expiration is further shortened. But then, as the disease advances, this work of breathing also increased during rest. Emphysema may be classified by the pattern of enlarged air spaces, that is centroacinar, panacinar, and paraseptal. So bulla also forms in some individual. This result in impaired gas exchange and respiratory failure. Now, the systemic components of pathophysiology include muscular weakness reflecting deconditioning and cellular changes in skeletal muscles, increased circulatory inflammatory markers, impaired salt and water excretion leading to peripheral edema, altered fat metabolism contributing to weight loss, and increased prevalence of osteoporosis. Now, what are the clinical features for COPD? COPD should be suspected in any patient over the age of 40 years who present with symptoms of chronic bronchitis and or breathlessness. So patient having symptoms of chronic bronchitis or comes with the complaints of breathlessness and is over the age of 40 years, then COPD can be suspected. Now, depending on the presentation, important differential diagnoses include chronic asthma, tuberculosis, bronchiectasis, and congestive cardiac failure. So, these are the differential diagnoses of COPD. Cough and associated sputum production are usually the first symptoms and are often referred to as a smoker's cough. If patient is smoker, then this cough and the associated sputum production, these are the usually first symptoms for which patient goes to the physician. Now, hemoptysis may complicate exacerbation of COPD but should not be attributed to COPD without thorough investigation. Breathlessness usually prompts presentation to a health professional. The level should be quantified on the basis of scales such as Modified Medical Research Council. Dyspnea scale may be useful. Now, what is this dyspnea scale? If the grade 0 is given when there is no breathlessness except strenuous exercise. Grade 1 is breathlessness when hurrying on the level or walking up a slight hill. Then it is given grade 1. Grade 2, walk slower than contemporaries on a level ground because of the breathlessness or have to stop for breath when walking at own pace. Grade 3, stops for breath after walking about 100 meters or after a few minutes on level ground. Grade 4, too breathless to have the house or breathless when dressing or undressing. So this is the grade 4 dyspnea at the dyspnea scale. In advanced disease, inquiry should be made as to presence of edema, which may be seen first time during an exacerbation, and morning headaches may suggest hypercapnia. Now, there are some non-specific physical signs are also present, like breath sounds are typically quiet. Crackles may accompany infection, but if persistent, raise the possibility of bronchiectasis. Finger clubbing is not a feature of COPD and should trigger further investigation for lung cancer or fibrosis. Right heart failure may develop in patients with advanced COPD, particularly if there is coexisting sleep apnea or thromboembolic disease, that is cor pulmonale. COPD patients often have pitting edema. So edema that pits on pressure, the pitting edema from salt and water retention caused by renal hypoxia and hypercapnia. Fatigue, anorexia, and weight loss may point to a development of lung cancer or tuberculosis, but are common in patients with severe COPD, and the body mass index is prognostic significance. Depression, anxiety are also common and contribute to morbidity. Two classical phenotypes have been described, that is pink puffers and blue blotters. The former, that is pink puffers, are typically thin, breathless, and maintain a normal PaCO2 until the late stage of the disease. The later, that is blue blotters, they develop or tolerate hypercapnia earlier and may develop edema and secondary polycythemia. Now, investigations for COPD, there is no reliable radiographic sign that correlates with the severity of the airway limitation. A chest X is essential to identify, to rule out other alternative diagnoses like cardiac failure or other complications of smoking, such as lung cancer and the presence of bulla. A blood count is useful to exclude anemia or document polycythemia, and in young patients with predominantly basal emphysema, alpha-1 antitrypsin should be assayed. The diagnosis require objective demonstration of airflow obstruction by spirometry and established when the post-bronchodilator FEV1 upon FVC, that is ratio of FEV1 FVC, is less than 70%. The severity of COPD may be defined in relation to the post-bronchodilator FEV1. If it is more than equal to 80%, then it's a mild mild disease is mild. If it is between 50 to 79%, then its disease is moderate. 30 to 49% disease is severe, and less than 30% disease is very severe. Now we see the management part. Measurement of the lung volumes provides an assessment of hyperinflation. The presence of emphysema is suggested by a low gas transfers during lung polysomnography. Exercise tests provide an objective assessment of exercise tolerance and provide a baseline on which to judge the response to bronchodilator therapy or rehabilitation prognosis. Pulse oximetry may prompt referral for a domiciliary oxygen assessment if less than 93%. HRCT is likely to play an increasing role in the assessment of COPD as it allows the detection, characterization, and quantification of emphysema and is more sensitive than the chest X-ray at detecting bulla. It is also used to guide lung volume reduction surgery. So this was all about the clinical features, definition, some of the non-physical science, pathology, etiology, and most recommended investigation of the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. So I hope this session was beneficial for you, and this session was powered by Digital Version 2.0, Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University. If you have any question, any queries, please write in the comment box and that will be resolved. Thank you so much for watching this video.